Hi, welcome to this week's vlog. Last week Barbara shared with us about some of the miracles that Jesus began to do that demonstrated his power and authority over nature. She also shared with us about the rejection Jesus experienced in his hometown from people who couldn't reconcile the difference between what they saw and heard Jesus doing and who they believed he was. We're now in Mark chapter 7, and it begins with Jesus in discussion with the Pharisees. They had their perceptions of who God was and what was needed to stay in right relationship with him. And for them, that entailed a lot of hard work of keeping all kinds of regulations. Some of them were Old Testament laws, some of those they did disregard, but they also created literally hundreds of rules and regulations that God had never asked them to keep. But they tried to keep those to maintain a level of holiness. The problem with trying to work your way into holiness is that you will encounter the stumbling block of God's grace. No matter how much we try and perform all sorts of physical actions and rituals, no matter how much our intellect might be pursuing God or our heart is yearning for him, the only thing that can meet that spiritual connection of being restored to right relationship with God is his Holy Spirit at work in us. And so despite the best efforts of the Pharisees to be pursuing God through all kinds of activities and rules and regulations and desiring holiness, Jesus' verdict over them was that these people honour me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In the Amplified Bible, it says their hearts hold off and are far distant from me. Now, in the Bible, when it talks about the heart, that's more than just the centre of emotions and feelings and affection that we often think of when we use the word heart. In biblical terms, the heart is also the source of our mind and our intellect and our will. It's the place where our thoughts are formed. It's the place where our intentions and desires are formed. It's the place where our actions stem from, and therefore our behaviour and our character. And so the Bible tells us to guard our heart with all diligence, for from it flows the wellspring of life. And I've been thinking about, how do we have a heart that comes close to God? And I've been thinking about this in terms of the 5 love languages, which you may have heard of. It's the idea that there are 5 ways that we can give and receive love. One of those is through acts of service, so that's doing things for someone else. One of those is through words of affirmation, so building someone up and encouraging someone with the things that we say about them. Another is through gifts, so that is any kind of material way that we bless someone with a tangible gift that they can take hold of and know that that's an expression of love. Another love language is touch, and the final one is quality time. And I think, we can love God in all these different ways, but some of those don't necessarily entail our heart as much as it could. So hopefully when we serve God in different ways, we are doing that with our heart. But the reality is we can sometimes do things on autopilot. We can turn up at church and fulfill whatever our role is because that's just what we do Sunday by Sunday. We can turn up to house group because it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, that's what we do in that evening, without really necessarily engaging with God in a deep way. We can sing songs in church and, affirm God with the words of our lips, and yet actually in our heart, are we really meaning what we're singing? When we sing songs about surrendering everything or giving God all our worship, sometimes we have to stop and just really challenge ourselves. Are we actually just honouring God with our lips, or are our hearts really calling out those truths? We can love God and serve him with our gifts. We can give our money, we can share our physical resources, and again, those are great things to do, but at its best that comes from our heart. It's not just something we do because we sort of feel compelled, or even that it's sometimes perhaps an easy thing or an easier thing. But I think the real challenge for us is around things like touch and quality time. Do we really allow God to come that close? Do we really love God in that way? Because sometimes we can serve and we can give gifts and we can sing our songs to God because there's something there that we bring to him. And so we can actually still be quite far off in our hearts. We can be doing things for God, we can be active, we can be busy, we can be thinking that he's really delighted in what we're doing, and actually perhaps he hasn't really called us to those things at that particular time. But quality time is about spending time with God where he is the source of our undivided attention. We're not doing something for him. We're not bringing our strength or a song. We're not spending anything on him, but we're just sitting with him and bringing ourselves. And that's a place of real vulnerability. It's a place where we have to really stop. But actually, I think it's what God is really calling us to. And it's the challenge that I would give this week as to how much quality time are we spending with God? Are we loving him in that way? Augustine, who was one of the founding fathers of the early church, said, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our heart is restless until it finds its rest in you." And so this week, I would just challenge you to spend that time with God, come close to him, have quality time with him. Don't just be doing things for him this week, but really desire to come and sit with him. And sometimes we have to come in that place of real emptiness, and that can be really hard. Sometimes we like being able to serve and give and feel we've got something to bring, but actually it's in that place of real emptiness before God that he fills us with himself. He fills us with his presence, he fills us with his spirit, and it's in that place then we can worship God with our lips and with our service, but also in a heart that's close to him, because that's the thing that he most desires from us, that's most precious to him. So draw near to him this week and know that he loves you, he is for you, he delights in you, and whatever other things you've got going on this week, just spend that time, mark out that time to spend it with him, because you will always be filled, you will always come away overflowing. His life is just waiting to burst forth in you. But don't be so busy doing things for God that you forget to come close to that place of real intimacy with him, because he calls us children, not servants. So we don't have to be doing things to try and win his approval or his favour. We are already favoured and loved. So know that this week and spend quality time with God. Bless you. See you soon. Bye.